Alright, hello everybody. My name is Cyrus, and I will be discussing the importance of environmental conservation and explain also the importance of climate change, or some of you may know it as global warming, and its presence and effect on society. Today, it can't be ignored, and my proposition is that the dismissal of climate change puts America and the world at risk from natural disasters and environmental disrepair. Climate change has always been an issue that people have discussed ever since we've been pretty much manufacturing here at the States. So, even in the 50s, it's been an issue that has been seen to increase over time and become discussed even more and more so. So, according to a geophysicist abbreviated as ResLet, from what I saw in an article in 2009, the oceans have absorbed much of this increased heat, with the top 700 meters of ocean showing warming from 0.302 degrees Fahrenheit since 1969. So over that time, it's been increasing. There has been evidence showing that it's been going up. And for the issue being present now, and people who actually deny it, such as our president saying on Twitter @RealDonaldTrump, the concept of global warming was created by and for the Chinese in order to make U.S. manufacturing non-competitive. It displays that our president does not clearly recognize climate change and global warming, and with doing so, appointed people he shares his views with. With the tweet coming from 2012, the people he appointed today in his cabinet represent big business and show that it can be debated. With recent hurricanes such as Irma, Harvey, Jose, are all showing increasing examples of damage from global warming. A study by Cornell students shows that an increase from up to 70% of rainfall has occurred from the United States from storms such as those hurricanes. And according to a novel on extreme weather events published in 2016, National Academies of Sciences that wrote this said low temperature events have been decreasing while high temperature events have been increased since 1950. The U.S. has also witnessed increased numbers of intense rainfall events. And in an article by NASA in actually 2017, they specify on Earth, humans are changing the greenhouse. This is because over the last century, the burning of fossil fuels like coal and oil has increased the concentration of atmospheric carbon dioxide, so CO2, and this has been affecting the rest of our society and increasing the risk of storms and natural disasters. Additionally, perhaps like your own research, your own experience on hot, humid days have suggested that climate change will lead to an increase on big storms that cause flash floods, landslides, and other natural disasters. As well as those statements, climate change has been an issue that has affected us ever since, and other gases such as LLGHDs and methane and nitrous oxide have been in the ozone and has been detected in a book called Couplings Between Changes in Climate System and Biogeochemistry by SciTech Connect on October 2007. And with the dismissal of climate change putting us at risk and environmental disrepair, action could be taken, but it needs to be acknowledged first. And with global heat increasing over the ocean and other storms arising across the states and in other nations, we can see with more and more examples over time, increasing amounts, that we are at risk for more storms. And environmental disrepair from dismissal of climate change puts us at risk, once again. Thank you.
All right, Cyrus, the proposition that you have is pretty clearly identified. It gets a little complicated because it's got multiple parts in the second part of it, where it's talking about multiple consequences of our dismissal putting us at risk, and then you've got like another 2 or 3 sections there. So I think you need to keep it a little bit simpler. There's not really a preview of what the supporting structure is going to be, and in the body of the speech I couldn't detect any particular pattern by which this information is being presented. So it really does feel like I'm getting random data being presented here, and the argument is not building. You need to have your claims clearly stated, and they need to either be discrete, independently supporting the main proposition, or if they are interdependent, you need to show how they add together to result in the same kind of support for that particular point. As it is, it just seems like I'm getting a piece of information here, a piece of information there. Sometimes we come back to something that's sort of related to it. There are probably 2 or 3 claims that we can pick out right away. First of all, I think you've got a claim that says the temperature of the oceans has changed, and that's having a consequence on, natural phenomena, cycles like hurricanes and rainfall and that sort of thing. So that should be one of the supporting claims. You've got an argument, which I do think does demonstrate that there's controversy on the subject, that talks about how people like the president don't think that this is something that we need to take seriously. That probably could be the first point in the argument, so that we know why it is we're even listening to this particular point. The notion that there are consequences, I think, is not as well developed as it needs to be. The only thing that I get is the reference to the hurricanes that we had, and we've had higher highs and lower lows than we had before, and I'm going, we've got fewer lower temperature events and more high temperature events, and I'm going, okay, so what's a high temperature event? What's a low temperature event? And are the high temperature events that are happening more dangerous to us, more problematic, or what? And I don't know, because it's a random piece of information. It's not being connected to any inference that you're making about the problem with global warming. And the other thing, I think, because you've suggested that we're dismissing it, and the source of the problem isn't just global warming, it's that we're dismissing it, you need to show us how there could be any difference if we did take it seriously. If Trump or whoever is in charge took it seriously, well, what's the change going to be? How is that going to fix things, stop things? What kinds of actions would be possible to arrest the kinds of harms that you're hinting at? And we don't get any discussion of that. So it feels a little bit like you get involved in a discussion of the global warming issue without talking about what the focus of your claim is, which is our dismissal of the global warming issue. And so I think you're missing that also. Like I said, I did think that you had some good data in the speech. You cited the text that you were using. You gave us authorities on those particular points. There's some interesting statistical information that you've got. So that seems like it's kind of the strongest part of the speech, but it needs to be put together in a way that advances an argument, I think, a little bit more coherently. All right, thank you.